Yeah, here we go. Happy Friday. Congratulations. You've made it to another weekend. It is the Joe Raineri Show, brought to you by uwager.eu. It is where America bets and is sure as hell where this show bets. And we tell you guys all the time, right? Line shopping, price shopping, one of the most important aspects of being a profitable sports investor, and that is why you guys should this weekend head over to uwager.eu and set yourself up an account. It's all about giving yourself the best chance at making a profit, and you do that by shopping lines. And for a hassle-free transaction, for some of the best lines and pricing in the game, you guys need to have yourself an account at uwager.eu. So here's what you do. Call 1-800-UWAGER. Use the code JRS50. They'll go ahead and give you a 50% sign-up bonus in your account. That's 1-800-UWAGER. Tell them JRS50, and they'll go ahead, dropping an additional 50% on top of your initial deposit. Start making some money this weekend because we are loaded with knowledge coming your way. Joe D'Amico, the legendary Las Vegas handicapper, he's going to join us live from Las Vegas here in just a minute. AASIwins.com is where you can find him, and he's going to break down these NFL matchups this weekend. And we've got the next 24 hours, we are going to have some of the best football all year long. These are some very interesting lines. This is the kind of weekend where you've got some Joes versus the pros, and I'll have Joe D'Amico explain that to you. But knowledge is power, folks. That's what we do here on the show, is we introduce you to as many people across the country, whether it be sports handicappers or another one of our guests today, Dane Martinez, who is a fantasy god when it comes to daily fantasy sports. Nobody does it better than Dane Martinez. He's the host of Fantasy Freestyle on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network. He's going to join us a little bit later here as well, get you guys set up for your daily fantasy. He's got some information you guys got to know. If there's a way to be able to be profitable this weekend, whether it be in sports betting or whether it be in daily fantasy, we've got you covered. We've got the people with the knowledge. Joe D'Amico coming up, AASI Wins from Vegas. Dane Martinez from New York, part of the Fantasy Sports Radio Network. Let's go. I'm so excited to get to this. Plus, we've got some TrendyBets.com, their NBA play of the day. They hit it again last night against a lot of your better judgment, because I did get I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to call you guys out, but there were a number of you that DM'd me and told me that their streak of, what are they now, 17-4? Yeah, their streak would come to an end last night because they took the over in the Boston game. And wouldn't you know it, the over hit in the Boston-Brooklyn game last night. Made a lot of you a little egg on the face, but that's okay. The reality is TrendyBets.com now 17-4 over the last 3 weeks with their plays. They're putting another profitable week in the books. They are undefeated this week. 4-0 this week, 17-4 over the last 3 weeks. Don't know what you guys are waiting for. If you haven't head over to TrendyBets.com yet, you got to get in there. Not to mention, they've got a deal coming up in their NFL. They were 4-0 last week in their NFL plays. So a lot of money to be had. It's about utilizing knowledge. It's about utilizing the guys that put in the work, put in the effort, and give you an opportunity to be able to make great decisions, great sports investing decisions. That's what we do here. So very excited here. Let's go. Let's get it rocking and rolling here as Joe D'Amico gets ready to join us. But first, I do have to send a shout out to our good friends at Miami Acura who make this possible. And they make it possible for you to finally get that car that you've always wanted as well. All you have to do is head to Miami Acura. You can take a test drive, the all-new 2019 RDX. The damn truck drives itself, completely redesigned. Best part about the 2019 RDX right now is the price. Never seen prices like this before for the RDX. Don't know how long they're going to last. Your best bet is head over to MiamiAcura.com. Set yourself up an appointment. Go take it for a test drive, or go take any of the certified pre-owned vehicles on the lot as well. The deals are happening this weekend at Miami Acura. South Dixie Highway for those of you in the 305, or you can call them, set up an appointment, 855-564-4669. That's 855-564-4669. $46.69. Go get that car you've always wanted. Just do it at a price you never thought possible. Make sure you're heading to MiamiAcura.com before you do a damn thing. Coming up here, bottom of next hour, we've got your TrendyBets.com free NBA play of the day. But first, hey guys, happy Friday. You know what that means. Our good friend Joe D'Amico live from Las Vegas. He joins us via the Miami Acura webcam. And Jojo, on behalf of all the viewers here, we hope you're feeling a little bit better. We missed you last week, my friend.
Oh, I missed everybody here too, but unfortunately I went out. I got arrested. No, I'm just kidding. I spent a lot of time, as Joe knows, I know a lot of our followers and listeners, they follow me on all sorts of social media. I take good care of myself. I eat right. I exercise. I love Vegas for that reason because I do most of my exercising outdoors. But I do hit the gym because I spend so much time in studio or at a desk, that I hit the gym. It was New Year's Day, and I tweaked something in my shoulder.
Yeah. And
right away I knew I strained something. The next day I felt like I just tore something, and I had to stay immobile, which is kind of funny. And Joe and our other people out there that spend a lot of time in front of a computer, I type like I'm in special ed, like with two fingers. I'm the worst typist, and my penmanship is horrible. Most geniuses have horrible penmanship. That's a fact. Side note. But I couldn't do anything with my arm all slinged up, and I had heat on it all day, putting it on and off all day, all night. It was horrible, and I just couldn't do anything. And even if I tweaked or moved, you could see the anguish in my face. And trust me, after going through a relationship with my son's mother, I'm no stranger to pain or dealing with pain. But it was so bad. She's laughing down the hall. But I had to take a few days off from this because I obviously wasn't myself. But Joe and listeners, followers, did not change the fact or did not hurt the fact that I went a perfect 4-0 last weekend in NFL, and I won my national championship. I think I'm 14-2 now the last 16 years on national championship. I might be off by a win or loss there. Don't quote me. I don't have it in front of me. But I won the national championship. So I swept the board last weekend and going into Monday with football. So it didn't hurt me. And my shoulder's much better now. Not doing anything. I still can't raise it all the way up, but not doing anything hard upper body yet in the gym. But I have hit the gym this last week.
Well, I'm glad that we've got Joe D'Amico back, because there's nothing worse than focusing on pain. It takes you all out of your rhythm there. So we're glad you're back. We're glad you're healthy and right in time for the divisional games, of course. NFL, big NFL card this weekend, Joe. We'll start in Kansas City, where they are the public's favorite. Let's face it, everybody loves Patrick Mahomes. Everyone loves Andy Reid, and yet there's a boatload of money coming in on the Indianapolis Colts. 5.5 is the line here. What do you like about this game, JoJo?
Well, I'll tell you what, Kansas City, as you mentioned, a lot of people follow them. They love them. They finished the campaign at 12-4. However, the Chiefs have been point spread poisoned. Now, the biggest weakness for KC is their defense. They're ranked 31st versus the pass, 27th versus the rush. This doesn't bode well, as Andrew Luck is having a career year. Listen to these stats: 67.3% completion rate, 4,593 yards passing, 39-15 touchdown interceptions. He stands behind an offensive line that has allowed just 16 sacks all season. The quarterback, along with standout wide receiver T.Y. Hilton, running back Marlon Mack, they're going to shred this Chiefs can't stop anybody stop unit. I like the culture. 7-1 against the spread the last 8 games played at the Chiefs. 11-4 against the spread the last 14 overall versus the Chiefs. I'm taking the points with Indy. I liked them as soon as the line came out. I liked them. The line went 5.5, 5.5. I don't see too much more change between now and game time. I'm taking the Colts here.
There you go. Joe D'Amico joining us, AASIwins.com. That is how you reach him. Let's switch over to America's team, Dallas Cowboys here, Joe D'Amico.
How about them Cowboys, guys? This is an interesting game. And the Rams have been the team to beat really since week 1. Even before the season started, they were one of the favorites to take the Super Bowl. And for the first half of the season, they seemed unstoppable. But since the season, the Cowboys faced the Saints and Eagles and beat them both with authority. The LA defense is weak against the run. Well, guys, in comes NFL's top rusher, Ezekiel Elliott, 1,434 yards rushing. The running back is salivating just knowing he gets to line up against the Rams defense that ranks dead last in the league. They get plowed for 5.1 yards per carry. To me, getting a playoff win under his belt now is going to help Dak Prescott a lot. It gets the pressure off his shoulders, guys. The Cowboys defense is tough, 20.2 a game they allow, and they are money as an underdog, covering 6 of the last 7 as an underdog. Running back Todd Gurley, who is slated to play here, guys, was left out of the last 2 games, and he's going to be rusty. Understand that this guy, Gurley, who I do like, I think he's just a great athlete, very talented, but he's a running back that needs momentum. He's kind of a juggernaut running back, all right? He's just not a guy comes out at the beginning of the game and starts getting 10, 12, 15, 20-yard or touchdown runs. That goes also as he enters a game. He is going to come in here rusty, all right? He stood out the last several weeks. I think he's going to be rusty. And to me, Joe, the playoffs are a whole different monster. I'll tell you what I mean by that. No matter how good a team or a player does or a coach does during the regular season, come the playoffs, you can erase most of that. It's a whole different monster, I'm telling you right now. Moving along and segueing into Jared Goff, to me, he has yet to prove himself in the postseason. These numbers are against the spread. Los Angeles, 1-4-1 the last 6 home games, 1-5 the last 6 playoff games, and 0-4-1 the last 5 games versus teams with a winning record. I have to take the touchdown with Dallas here. I think that this is a tough game. I'm not going to lie to our listeners or followers. I think it's a tough game. But Dallas's defense, the fact that Ezekiel Elliott will control the tempo and the clock in this game, and that is the Rams' weakness. Not saying the Rams aren't going to score some points, not saying that they're not good all around, but their weakness is against that run. And when you're facing the NFL's top rusher, things are going to change. Take the touchdown with Dallas here, guys.
Take the touchdown. Take them Cowboys. Get them points. And make sure that you guys reach out to Joe D'Amico. Make sure, first of all, you're tailing him on Twitter, at Joe D'Amico Wins on Twitter. He's got some of the best, when I tell you, carbonara recipes in all of Twitter. The man is a monster in the kitchen, but also he knows his sports, and he knows his sports handicapping. So aasiwins.com is how you guys can reach him on the web, and then of course his phone number, guys. And Joe, we head into Sunday, and we got a couple of very interesting games. Let me go with the Saints first of all, because the Saints-Eagles, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago with Nick Foles, and I don't think anybody really thought we'd be talking about Nick Foles this time of year, especially taking on the Saints, but yet here we are. Can you bet against Nick Foles at this point?
Well, I'll be honest with you. The Saints, another team like the Rams, been a favorite most of the season. One of the favorites to take the Super Bowl. Mm. And let's face it, Drew Brees, I mean, he just keeps racking up record after record, and well-deserved, all the praise and accolades. But just like the Rams, they get overvalued a lot. In the November 18th meeting, New Orleans crushed Philly 48-7. However, listeners, the Eagles were dealing with numerous injuries, and they were sandwiched between the Cowboys the week before, the Giants on deck, followed by the Redskins on the Monday Night Football platform, and then the Rams and the Texans. That is a sandwich you can't even get at your local Italian deli. That is a huge sandwich spot. You know, in this business, sandwich situations when you're looking at sports betting is huge. College and pro football, college and pro basketball. You got to look at who they played, how they fared, who they got on deck. Are they looking ahead? And that is a big sandwich spot there. New Orleans is a very good team. I said they deserve all their praise, but giving last year's Super Bowl champions with last year's Super Bowl MVP at the helm more than a touchdown, I feel is a mistake. Philly comes in here winning 6 of their last 7 straight up and 5 of their last 6 against a number, including 4 consecutive wins and covers. Guys, the last 5 weeks or so, New Orleans offense has sputtered a bit. They're resulting in a 1-4 against the spread mark. Now, maybe they were tired because it's the end of the season, but they still sputtered. This is key. All right, on the defensive side of the ball, the Saints do have a weakness against the pass. They rank 29th against the pass on defense. Nick Foles, guys, he has shocked the world before. I feel he can do it again and keep this game close. All these numbers are against the spread. Philly, 7-2 the last 9. Road playoff games, 4-0 the last 4. Overall playoff games, and 4-1 the last 5 versus the NFC opponents. I got to take the 8.5 with the Eagles here. This is a team that shocked the world last year. Nick Foles, you know, beat an unbeatable foe in the Super Bowl. And I don't see why you can't. You got to ride a train until it comes to the station. And I'm not saying this is the greatest team or that the Saints can't score points on the Eagles defense. I'm just saying 8.5 points is a lot of points. I've got to take the number here.
Well, I'm glad that I'm glad you brought that up, because we do have we received a little mailbag here, Joe.
Love it.
We received a question from one of the viewers that he wanted to pick your brain, and I'm going to post it up here.
Analogize this, Joe, to dating, because I analogize everything to dating. If you're in a bar, it's late at night, almost last call. See, Vegas, we don't have last call, but last call. And there's a pretty girl there, but not the most beautiful. Guys, don't wait for something better to come in the next 20 minutes. Take her home. She's an easy shot. Same thing I'm thinking. Take a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. I'm going to tell you now. I know that's a funny analogy, but I wouldn't have a problem taking the Saints here. Why would you hold off? What if, God forbid, a key player, Drew Brees, Kamara, somebody gets injured next week? You're waiting to hold on. You don't know what next week brings you. I'm always putting money in my pocket today. Well, not that we'll worry about tomorrow, but we'll confront tomorrow. I always want money where it goes in my pocket. If I have the best edge at the moment, I'm going to take it now. I can't worry about tomorrow. I can't worry about a pitching matchup if I'm not in the World Series. You've got to worry about getting paid today and surviving, no pun intended, till next week. So I would take, if you're saving the Saints, I wouldn't. The Saints look like they should win this game, but I like the 8.5, like I said. There are a few games that I do like. The dogs outright here this weekend, but that's not one of them. I think that you should take the Saints then.
Yeah. Like you said, there is no tomorrow's promise of nobody. So coming off the rest, Drew Brees, he's healthy. They're at home. They're an 8-point. They're the biggest favorite in the game. Take the Saints, dude. Don't wait for tomorrow, and hold on to anything in a Survivor League. Don't do it. He is Joe.
You don't know what tomorrow brings. God forbid, like I said, an injury, something. Yeah. You don't know a matchup doesn't work well for the Saints or someone else, and you don't know they're going to make it to the Super Bowl. If you feel that they are the best bet this week, straight up, then take them. Worry about next week.
Yes.
Everything changes in this game. By the moment, let alone a week.
So true. Joe D'Amico, AASI wins live from Las Vegas. He's joining us, getting you ready for the NFL playoffs. And Joe, one other game. It's the man. It's the greatest quarterback ever, Tom Brady at home. Boy, when have we seen this before? Tom Brady at home, Foxborough taking on Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers is, over the career, had a hard time taking care of Tom Brady, taking care of business here. What do you think? I mean, 4.5 points. There's a lot of Charger love, out of sight, out of mind with New England, but a lot of Charger love here. You love the Chargers in this situation?
Well, with a line currently of 4, I think you mentioned, with all respect to a New England team that just captured their 10th straight AFC title, let's face it, winning the AFC title this year, the last few years, that's nothing special. It's like being the best player in the Canadian Football League. What difference does it make? All right, they are a good team. As long as Belichick's on the sideline, Brady's on the field, you got a fighting chance with the Patriots. But, guys, in the last month, when they needed to win, Los Angeles did just that. 6-1 record, straight up the last 7, with victories over such notables as Pittsburgh, Kansas City, and Baltimore. The Patriots have an erratic defense, and trust me, guys, they're going to be in for a long day here. Listen to this: the tandem running backs of Gordon and Eckler, and the trio of receivers, Allen, Williams, and Allen. That's like that old TV show, I Am Larry. This is my brother Darryl, my other brother Darryl. But anyway, but facing them alone has been enough. Throw in the mix veteran quarterback Phillip Rivers at the helm. Guys, 68.3% completion rate, 4,308 yards passing, 32-12 TDINT. With him at the helm, the day just got even longer for this New England defense. I'm going to tell you that. On the flip side, over the years, and without question, Tom Brady is without question the greatest quarterback. He's the greatest. The guy is not only a winner, but he wins when the odds are stacked against him, really. I mean, there's been times the defense was crappy that he got them to the Super Bowl or got them to the Super Bowl ring. There's times he never run a game. There's times he has best receivers. Gronkowski was out. He still finds ways to win. But over the years, Joe, listeners, when Tom Brady did have troubles, it is because of one thing, because you hurry Tom Brady. Well, guys, who comes into town? Defensive ends, Bosa and Ingram, and they're going to spend so much time in the Patriots' backfield, they might as well get a uniform and a paycheck from owner Robert Kraft. I'm going to tell you, they're going to wreak some havoc on Tom Brady. Those two guys are just studs. I mean, since Joey Bosa's back, the Chargers defense is just taking it to another level, and he's a big part of that. I'm telling you, he's huge. But the two of them at opposite ends, you got one coming from one end. It's not like Tom Brady could just say, okay, we got Bosa coming from this side. Let's key on that. Oh, we got England coming from that side. You got two monsters coming from opposite sides. It's an issue. The Chargers defense, they got to a very mobile Lamar Jackson a week ago. So what are they going to do to the flat-footed Tom Brady? Guys, he's going to be a sitting duck here. New England does not have the services of wide receiver Gordon anymore. And let's face it, Gronk, tight end Rob Gronkowski, we love him. We just love him. He's great. He's just one of the most valuable players to his teams over the last decade. But he's kind of a shadow of his former self. Chargers, on the other hand, they've covered all three. Scratch that. They've covered all games played outside of L.A. this season and having covered the last 5 straight as an underdog, winning those 5 games outright. I'm taking the point with the Chargers. I feel that the Patriots' reign is going to come to an end, and I think that Phillip Rivers and the Chargers are going to kick them off their seat.
That's it, man. Going Chargers all day long. It's time. It's a new dawn. It's a new day, and no more Tom Brady. Let's welcome in Phillip Rivers to the case. And it's not like Phillip Rivers hasn't paid his dues over the years, Joe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great quarterback. We've seen him over the years in situations. Another guy didn't have running games, receivers out, bad defenses. Well, he's got all the parts that he needs to get them there. And guys, listen, guys like him, Brady, Drew Brees, you're not going to get – these are some of the best quarterbacks of all time. But I think that Phillip Rivers, I think this is his year to at least upend Tom Brady and outshine him.
Now, Joe D'Amico joining us, AASIwins.com. Now, if folks have some questions for you, I want to go ahead and put the numbers up once again here, Joe, because those of you that might just be joining us, of course, Joe joins us each and every Friday. You, my friend, and congratulations is in order. You, my friend, this football season, especially over the last couple of weeks, including the bowl games, you have been on fire, man. You never cease to amaze any of us, but you've been really good over the last month, heading into the playoffs and the bowl games. I mean,
website customers, every game I put out, including every game of the month, and all my games of the month, they're going to go for $100 each. Between now to the rest of the month, valued over $1,050. I'm doing it just for $149. Guys, I charge more than that for a day. I charge more than that for a game. For $149, you stay with me the next 3 weeks, the rest of January. I promise you that once you stay with me for this small package, this program, I'm going to make you a believer. You're going to come on through March Madness. I promise you that. Call me over at, Joe, you got my number, 855-776-8891. That's 855-776-8891. Joe flashes it on the screen. Yep. As a matter of fact, Joe got it tattooed across his chest the other day. Yes. 855-776-8891. Yes. You call me. $149. No ifs, ands, and buts. No sales pitches. No BS. And you'll get to deal with me. I'll deal with you exclusively. You can pick my brain on anything you want. Call me. I promise you'll have the best month of January in basketball you've ever had.
That is crazy. I don't know why we lost you there. Okay, take advantage of the deal. Get yourself in with Joe D'Amico right now. Month of January, $149. Give him a buzz, folks. I mean, I don't know what else to say here. You can visit him at aasiwins.com, but call him at 855-776-8891. Joe D'Amico, it is always a pleasure, my friend, to see you, to talk to you, to hang with you. It's good that you are feeling better. We look forward to the games this weekend. We look forward to talking to you again next week. But take advantage. Get Joe working for you today. Give him a call, 855-7. I can't believe what did I lose? 791-7897. Jesus, good.
Let's try that again. It's all right. It's all right. I'll send you that Hooked on Phonics book. 855.
Clap it out.
776. That's 776-8891.
There it is. 776-8891. Joe, glad you're feeling better, brother. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll talk to you again next Friday, man.
Guys, I look forward to it. And remember, this is Joe D'Amico. Good luck and have a winning day.
Thank you very much, Joe. That's it. 855-776-8891. There, I did it. Damn it. That's 855-776-8891. Take advantage of the deal with Joe. Those of you that have been tailing Joe, those of you who have actually picked up the phone, and I know who you are because I get the feedback from you guys. You killed it during the NFL season. You were fantastic during the bowl season, and now you got some games coming up here in the NFL. A couple of weeks left, including the Super Bowl. But it's also time you start picking his brain for college hoops and the NBA. So call Joe. Take advantage of the deal now through the end of the month. You get Joe D'Amico direct at 855-776-8891. All right, want to thank Joe. I'm glad he's feeling better. It's good to have him back in good spirits. And coming up, speaking of fire, how about our guys at TrendyBets.com? 17-4 over the last 3 weeks. They got another free NBA play of the day. I can't. They won again last night. We're still we're laughing. It's a joke around here now. We're laughing. It's just they never lose. It's crazy. 17-4 with their free NBA plays of the day here on the Joe Raineri Show. They've got another one coming up. We're going to have that for you. Also, we're going to get you hooked up with a little DFS finally. Daily fantasy football this weekend. And there is nobody better in the game than our friend Dane Martinez. He hosts Fantasy Freestyle on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network out of New York. We're going to get him on the phone. He is going to tell you who your quarterback should be, who the sleepers are. He's going to make you some money in daily fantasy. Plus, I can't wait to hear what he's got to say about the Jets media, the Giants media in New York. Are they happy about Adam Gase? Because I know people in Miami are ecstatic that Adam Gase is on his way to the Jets. So we'll talk to Dane. We'll help you make some money in daily fantasy. Plus, we'll get the latest on the Jets drama. That is coming up. But I do got to thank just a few more of our sponsors here on the show. Low-Cost Airlines, Superior Cruise and Travel. What is there to say if you're planning a trip anytime this year? You definitely want to go ahead and call Low-Cost Airlines. If it's airfare you need, nobody's got better deals than Low-Cost Airlines. So give them a buzz at 800-761. That's 800-761. 1427. I'm doing good with numbers today. 800-761-1427. And if it is a cruise that you might want to take, give Superior Cruise and Travel a ring today. 800-901-5536. And, of course, MiamiAcura.com. It's the only place to go if you are car shopping, whether it be a new or certified pre-owned vehicle. Make sure Miami Acura is the destination. That's MiamiAcura.com. Your Trendy Bets free NBA play of the day is coming your way in exactly 90 seconds. Don't go anywhere. It's the Joe Raineri Show.
Where do you want to go on a vacation or honeymoon? The Caribbean, Europe, Hawaii, Mexico? How about Disney or a cruise? At Superior Cruise and Travel, we've got you covered. We'll assign you your own travel concierge. They'll help you design a custom vacation plan that you can't find online. And the service is completely free. You can't compare the value of this to any other online travel company. We can help you plan a custom vacation anywhere in the world. We even offer payment plans with no credit card required. Now you pay off your vacation on your time schedule. Call now and mention the promo code RADIO and save up to $500. Book your custom trip. Call Superior Cruise and Travel now and talk to one of the highest rated travel agencies in the country with a 5-star A+ online rating.
800-901-5536. 800-901-5536. 800-901-5536. That's 800-901-5536.
Hi, my name is Lily. My mom and dad used to fight about money all the time. Then one day, I heard them talking about this guy, some uncle I never knew, called Uncle Sam. Well, they say this Uncle Sam guy wanted them to pay him like $1 gazillion, and they didn't have $1 gazillion. So they called this company they heard on the radio called the Tax Doctor. And the Tax Doctor worked with Uncle Sam's people. I think they're called the IRS. And they're able to work it out so my mom and dad didn't have to pay Uncle Sam very much money at all. So now mom and dad are happy, and I'm happy too. Thanks, Tax Doctor.
If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS or state, call now and pay less.
800-663-5107. 800-663-5107. That's 800-663-5107.
Happy Friday. Welcome back in. It's the Joe Raineri Show, brought to you by YouWager.eu. It is where America bets. It's where this show bets. And if you want any chance of being a profitable sports investor, if this is something, I don't care if you do it on the side or if you're going balls to the wall, line shopping is one of the most important aspects of being a profitable sports investor. That means you need to have multiple places that you can go to place the bet depending on the line. That is why you guys need to head over to YouWager.eu and get yourself an account set up right now. It is so simple. All you have to do as you're watching the show is call 1-800-UWager. Just dial the phone right now, 1-800-UWager. Give them the code, and the best part about YouWager too is the customer service. You'll call, they'll answer, you'll understand them, and all you tell them is JRS50. They're going to drop 50% of your deposit in as a bonus. It doesn't get any simpler than that. Amazing customer service, ease of transactions. You want to be able to deposit money? Simple. Oh, by the way, you want to be able to pull money out? Even easier. No hassles. It's completely hassle-free, and they've got some of the best lines and pricing in the business. So what you've got to do is get on the phone right now. Call 1-800-UWager. Give them the code JRS50. That's JRS50, and get yourself a 50% sign-up bonus. Do it today. And as long as you're opening an account at YouWager, you might as well get that TrendyBets.com NBA play of the day in. What can we say about these guys? 17-4 over the last 3 weeks with their free NBA play of the day. This is what they do, guys. They give us one free NBA play of the day for the show. They have now for close to 2 months. The play itself is well above 60% for the 2 months. In the last 3 weeks, guys, they're 4-0 this week. They're 17-4 for the month. I mean, it's uncanny what they've been able to do here. They are on a streak. They've been like this now over the last couple of months. I know there were a few of you that doubted them, and this week made you a believer. 4-0. They're going to make it a perfect 5-0 today. I feel it. So make sure that you're visiting TrendyBets.com today and check out those NBA packages as well as their football packages. I don't want to say anything, but TrendyBets.com also went 4-0 last weekend in the NFL in the wild card, so they are kind of one-stop shop, so take advantage today. That's TrendyBets.com. All right, let's take a look at what their free NBA play of the day is. They are looking tonight, Nets at the Raptors. That's Nets, Raptors, Toronto laying 9.5, total 221.5. Here's what we know. The over, 6-1 in the Nets' last 7 games versus a team with a winning percentage above 600. That would be the Raptors. The over, 17-6 in the Nets' last 23 road games versus a team with a winning home record. That would be the Raptors. Also, the over, 4-1 in Toronto's last 5 overall. The over is also 15-7 in Toronto's last 22 home games versus a team with a losing road record. That would be the Nets. So your TrendyBets.com free NBA play tonight. The over 221.5. Over 221.5. That is your Trendy Bets free play of the day in the NBA. Make sure you guys take advantage of the streak. Take advantage of their knowledge right now by heading over to TrendyBets.com. Get yourself hooked up with not only a NBA package, but you might as well they're undefeated in their NFL playoffs as well, sweeping the board. 4 games last week, gone. 4 games in the pocket, 4-0. Get to trendybets.com. Use the code NBA50 or NFL50 and get yourself a 50% discount right now. Trendybets.com. And again, tonight, the over. Nets, Raptors, 221.5, and you got yourself a trendybets.com free NBA play of the day. How cool is that? I'm so pumped. I can't even begin to tell you. Look, I'm so happy for these guys because they put in the work. They're sort of the new kids on the block, but they keep building a name for themselves, and I'm so happy to have them as part of the Joe Raineri Show. These guys are the best. Trendybets.com. All right, coming up, we're going to make you a little money here in Daily Fantasy. DFS, there is nobody better than our friend Dane Martinez. He hosts the Fantasy Freestyle Show, 7 o'clock, Tuesdays and Thursdays on the Fantasy Radio Network, heard around the country. We're going to pick his brain about the fantasy world and how can you make some money. Who are the sleepers? Who is your quarterback? We're going to talk to Dane live from New York, and also, as long as he's in New York, I cannot wait to hear what they've got to say, the New York media, about the Jets and the signing of Adam Gase. So we'll go ahead and pick his brain. But also, guys, if you are in the market for any sort of ticket to a sporting event or to a concert or, hell, even a chili cook-off, there's only one place to go. That would be iTicketHub. Go to iTicketHub.com and search it. They are at least 10%, and we've done this. Forget StubHub, forget Vivid, forget all the secondary markets. Get to iTicketHub.com. Use the code JRS18 and get yourself an even bigger discount than what you got going on right now. That's JRS18. iTicketHub.com. So if your girl wants you to head to a Kenny Chesney concert or a Blake Shelton and you're like, God, I hate country music, you don't want to pay full price for those tickets. So what you want to do is get as best as possible. iTicketHub.com will beat every secondary market price. iTicketHub.com. Use the code JRS18. Guys, happy Friday. Welcome in. Real excited, man. Been trying to get this guy forever. Been calling his agents. I've been calling his parents. It's just amazing that he was available and he was able to meet us today. And I'm so excited to have Dane Martinez, Fantasy Sports Radio Network, joining us. He's host of Fantasy Freestyle, 7 o'clock, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And he's joining us via the Miami Acura hotline. So, Dane, thank you for taking the time, brother, and joining us, man. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
What's going on, Joe? Don't make it sound like I'm big timing you, man. Always time for you, Joe.
I love it. All right, now, for those that don't know, let's first of all, the Fantasy Sports Radio Network is not only on every streaming platform, but we are talking cable networks and radio networks all around the country. And really what you do is you got a couple of shows going on there. The focus is fantasy for you. Now, tell us about how people can go to Fantasy Sports Radio there and find you.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, on the radio side, definitely, you know, the easiest way is probably just iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, the Fantasy Sports Radio Network app. Those are all easy ways to find us. We're also on a bunch of terrestrial radio stations across the country. But, you know, those apps, you know, these millennials these days, that's the best way to hear me. And then, you know, if you want to see my beautiful face, we're streaming on a lot of platforms as well. YouTube, you know, Twitter, Twitch, Periscope, all that good stuff.
Awesome. Now, the show, Fantasy Freestyle, was nominated, I believe, best radio show, fantasy-wise, last year. So congratulations. You're also part of another show that's been nominated for best radio show here in the fantasy realm. Tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So my show is Fantasy Freestyle. You know, I like to try and be an entertainer while we give you this information. You know, at the same time, we put the fun and functional sports content with Speed, the Spitting Statistician, and the Stats Overbeat Cypher. I started it a long time ago. What I was doing was giving out fantasy advice, but we also had underground hip-hop beats as a baseline for the entire time. Okay, thus the Fantasy Freestyle used to be like a hype man for a rap group and other, so I wanted to combine both of these things. And so people, could get all their knowledge and bob their head at the same time. And I brought that to the Fantasy Sports Network, right? But then Roto Experts in the Morning is the other show that I do. They actually just also tapped me to be kind of the lead host for the flagship morning show of that network, where I work with the King, Scott Angle, who's been a fantasy expert for, 30 years, and do our morning show thing, but really at the same time there, we give you what you need to win your leagues and win that cash. That's what we do. Holler at me at Spit and Speed.
Love it. You can download the app too, Fantasy Sports Radio. Make sure that you guys download that app. The shows are great. The information is fantastic. And, we talk, Dane, on the show here, we talk to different sports handicappers from around the country and different sports bettors. They are a very unique group of people here. But the fantasy folks that I thought we were some degenerates, man, betting on sports. My word, the fantasy world is a whole different world in itself, is it not?
It is, but at the same time, if you guys bet, then it's just like stacking 8 prop bets against each other, at the same time, when you think about what you can do from just a specific player, and it gives you that feel of like ownership, at the same time. And I like the idea. I think the fantasy world really, though, yes, everybody wins that cash and tickets. It's all the same kind of sweat, right? We all know about that. For me, the fantasy community is really just that, a community. Like fantasy football, you probably play with like your friends from high school or kids from back in the day and that sort of thing. And as we spread across the country and across the world, for me, it's like the only way that I'm talking to some of my boys from back in the day who now live in Korea or stuff like that. Right. It's more the bragging rights just as much as the cash, whereas you guys is a straight, it's a straight profit loss business.
We betting numbers, man. It don't make a damn bit of difference about anything else.
Don't get me wrong, so do I. But there's also the added fun. There's also the added fun of the bragging rights, I think, in a slightly different way. But it's still coming down to the same kind of actuary business.
Oh, it is. It all comes down to numbers at the end of the day for all of us. Dane Martinez joining us, Fantasy Radio Network, host of Fantasy Freestyle. All right, what are guys doing right now this time of year? The leagues are over, right? So the full season leagues are over. What do you see guys concentrating on right now as the playoffs are here?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing right now is still daily fantasy, still DFS, and you can do that for every round of the playoffs. You could do this with showdown games, obviously most notably with FanDuel and DraftKings. My network, Fantasy Sports, we partner with FanDuel, so usually when I'm giving out prices and things of that nature in daily fantasy, it's with FanDuel numbers and FanDuel kind of prices. But DFS is still the way to go right now, especially in the playoffs. So right here, the division weekend, we're talking a lot about values in DFS, that sort of thing, along with, game picks, totals, spreads, prop bets, and then NBA is still going, but I'm focusing on football because this, and this as well as anybody else, we're 24 hours away from the best weekend in football.
Yes, yeah, that we are. And the DFS, and this has always been the knock when I talk to handicappers here on the show, the knock about DFS to them is that there's so much variance, and when you're playing that, listen, like you said, I win, I lose, I pick a side, I'm good to go. Unless you're playing 3,000, 4,000 lineups in daily fantasy, the odds are just not in your favor, and that's always been is that a fair knock from sports handicappers that 3,000, 4,000 lineups for me to be able to cash? I just got to be right, on the spread one way or the other.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying before, right? It's like you're stacking up, you're parlaying 9 prop bets every time, every time you're putting in a lineup, right? So if that's the way you want to imagine it, yes, you're right. That's what you got to do, right? In order to hit one of these big-time billionaire makers, right?
Right.
You got to basically cash on a parlay of 9 crazy, prop bets for individual players. That's exactly what it is. So, yes, I understand that. But at the same time, I hear this is a game of skill and not a game of luck, or at least the highest court in the land to say so, right? So there's got to be some kind of strategy to it.
Love it. I absolutely love it. Well done. Dane Martinez, Fantasy Sports Radio, joining us via the Miami Acura hotline. All right, so talk to me about this weekend here. We've got some great matchups. Who's your quarterback going to be this weekend if I'm putting together a DFS team?
All right, so here's the thing. And I'm sure you've had people talk about when you're handicapping these games, and it's probably the same thing that you're going to hear. I'm going to give you the same rationale. I'm all over Andrew Luck this week, okay? I think he's just way too hot. I think this Kansas City defense can be had, so I even like Marlon Mack, because to me, that both of them behind this great offensive line that has gone from letting Andrew Luck get sacked something like 50 some odd times to only 18 this year. I like that against the Kansas City defense. I like their offense trying to stay on the field, to keep Patty Mahomes, on the sideline. So I like Andrew Luck. I like Marlon Mack as well. Off this Indianapolis Kansas City games. And then what you have to do in the DFS world, obviously, is compare that versus the price levels that they're at. Andrew Luck, of the 8 quarterbacks here on FanDuel, is the third most expensive. Okay, so figure it, relatively speaking, Patty Mahomes at $9,000, Drew Brees at $8,700, who I also love in the dome, death taxes and Brees in the dome. But Andrew Luck is, $300 cheaper than that, which will free me up to be able to spend up on some of the other big boys in my lineup, like a Michael Thomas, like an Ezekiel Elliott, for example.
Yeah, well, and that's the real trick to what you do, Dane, is you got to find those not necessarily the high profile guys, but that that one guy that's going to go out there, 4 catches, 120 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and just blow it up. And they're not always easy to find, but as you look around the teams that are remaining, who's got that number 2, number 3, that slot receiver that you think can do some damage?
So I'm going to tell you this weekend, one of the guys I'm giving out, whether you want to call it a contrarian or a punt play, regardless, go into that New Orleans-Philly game, okay? And there's been a question all season long. I'm sure your guys have been talking about it as you're betting on the Saints. Who is this number 2 wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints? They even thought Dez Bryant could be this for a little while, right? Then is it Traquan Smith? Is it Kirkwood? This sort of thing. But if you look at the prices on FanDuel at the New Orleans Saints wide receivers, the cheapest one possible is the guy who I actually think is the number 2 wide receiver coming up for them this week, and that's Ted Ginn Jr., okay? Ooh. Ted Ginn Jr. returning from injury. He's the kind of guy also who I love to be able to get over the top behind the back of this 30th ranked Philadelphia Eagles pass defense, right? And all I need is him to pop off one of these 65-yarders, which I do believe can happen. He was also the second most targeted wide receiver last time he played, in Week 16 against Pittsburgh. And him getting a 5 for 74 like he did against Pittsburgh, even without scoring, that'll return you 10 fantasy points. When you lay on that he is the bargain basement, like absolute minimum of 4,500. It's just a question of relative value. You guys know about EV, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly what it's. Yeah, and when I didn't even realize that the Ginn was going to be back actually this week. That's just another weapon for Drew Brees, which is, and I'm assuming is Drew Brees or Patrick Mahomes. Who's the number 1 priced quarterback in FanDuel right now?
Yeah. Patty Mahomes is this week. It'll go Mahomes, then Brees, then Luck.
And then Luck. Is it worth spending in these times of the short landscape here? Is it worth spending the money big on a QB, or are you better off saving the big bucks for the Michael Thomases, Ezekiel Elliott's of the world?
Yeah, I think you can find value at the quarterback position, especially when you consider the narrative of how much this is such a passing league and how there is so much offense. You can get value at quarterback a little bit lower on, whereas some of these target monster wide receivers that you are going to have to pay up for, or a guy like Todd Gurley or Ezekiel Elliott, you do want, in my opinion, at least one of these kind of rock-solid cornerstones, and you're going to have to pay up for them at one of the skill positions.
Yeah, well, that's it, especially if you want the points. Dane Martinez joining us, Fantasy Sports Radio. Download the app, guys, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Fantasy Freestyle. He'll be helping you win in those daily fantasy leagues. There's no doubt about it. Guy is a wealth of information. We appreciate his time joining us here. What's the one game you're looking forward to the most this weekend, Dane? I mean, as a fan, forget about fantasy or sports betting on the side. As a fan, which one is the one you're going, I can't wait to pop open a brewski here and watch this?
Yeah, so for a number of reasons, right? For me, it's this first game on Sunday. It's Chargers-Patriots, okay? Ooh. And there's a number of reasons why. And some of them are selfish to me. You know this, Joe. I've been on air for, almost 4 or 5 years now, right? And last year, and the best things are when you make calls that become ridiculously true and you have the tape to prove it, So last year, for example, in the preseason, I called the Philadelphia Eagles to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. This year, in the same spot in August, I said that my off-the-radar team is going to be the Los Angeles Chargers to be in the Super Bowl. Okay, so I have been early on this Chargers bandwagon all season long. I've loved the Chargers. My girlfriend's from San Diego, for God's sakes, although she now hates the Spanos family. You know what I mean? But I have been on this narrative all season long. I have been rah-rah with Melvin Ingram and returning Joey Bosa, the Swiss Army knife that is Derwin James, this balanced offense, and oh my God, Phillip Rivers not making these bonehead interceptions that he has had in his career. Oh my God, the Chargers kicker is actually hitting field goals, right? I've been early with it. I'm a Jets fan, as you know, so I can't wait for the fall of Rome, right? But at the same time, I couldn't bring myself to give that pick out this week because even though I think that, I really want the Chargers to win, I really am with this Phillip Rivers narrative, right? I love it. For some reason, I just think Brady, Belichick at home in the sacrificial round of the playoffs, it's very frustrating for me to see the Chargers then have to go back on the 1 o'clock start on the East Coast back-to-back weeks, and it kind of really tears at my heart. So I really want to see how this one plays out.
What about Nick Foles? Do you think the magic of Nick Foles and Doug Peterson and the defending Super Bowl champions, you think they got enough to be able to pull off the upset of the weekend?
No, absolutely not. I think it ends in the Dome. I think they stand up, they get crunk down there in New Orleans. It'll be very, very tough for anybody, in my opinion, to beat Breeze and Peyton in the Dome. I think it comes to an end for Nicky Foles. Not as big as like this 41-7 that happened earlier in the season. Right. Right now when I'm seeing like an 8-point spread, a total of like 51. They nail the totals all the time in the NFL. So the way I'll see it, to give me the Saints with the cover, is 31-20 New Orleans.
Ooh, I love that. Dane Martinez, Fantasy Sports Radio, joining us. How about them Cowboys, Dane? I can tell you right now, the numbers are coming in. Joe Public loves them Cowboys, getting 7 on the road, taking on the Rams, Sean McVay and company. What do you think? You think they can? You think that defense can hold up?
I love it at 7.5. I'll tell you that. That I'll do. If you give me the hook, I'll take the Cowboys.
The hook, you
but
sick
I do
bastard.
Yeah, that's right, absolutely. But I think the Rams win this game. I think one of the things I was big on last weekend was these quarterbacks in their first time in the playoffs. I was fading all of them: Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, Mitchell Trubisky, right? And last year that happened with Jared Goff, in my opinion, as well. This is their second bite at the apple. I don't think they trip up like that. I think the extra week for Todd Gurley is really important. I think Dallas knows what they want to do: give Zeke Elliott the ball, run the game, control the clock, play good defense. I think they keep it close for about 2.5 quarters, but at some point in this game, the Rams will score back-to-back, boom, boom, and that could be the end of it for a team built like the Cowboys.
Yeah, and the only thing that scares me with the Rams is that second level, man. They have no linebackers. They've been terrible against the run, and yes, I mean it's great. They've got some sacks here, of course. We know that, but once you get past that line, man, oh man, there is some room to be able to run there for Zeke Elliott, and it's going. I don't think it's going to be as big a blowout as people think it is. I do think Zeke is going to get fed, and I think if he can get past that front line there, and oh boy, watch out, Cowboy fans might be celebrating a little bit.
Let me ask you something about this game. I think the total that I see for this game is really intriguing, and quite frankly, I would love your insight. Is what is Vegas trying to tell me with this total at like 49 or 49.5, whatever you see it at? To me, this is going to be a big, like, in that how they say in boxing, style makes fight kind of thing, right? So which style, right? So, and to me, this total is kind of hedging your bet in the middle. They're hanging a number of, I don't know what you guys are seeing. I see it at like 49.5.
Yes.
And to me, That's like they're just trying to split the difference.
They are
and not
begging
really
you,
taking
begging you
right.
to take the.
Okay, so what are they telling me to do?
They are begging you to take the under and take the Cowboys. They are just they want your money, man. That is what they're doing. They're throwing it out there.
I refuse to take an under.
Yes.
In 2019 or 2018 with the rules and the blah blah blah.
Yeah, they're saying there's no way that the Cowboys defense has shown up. We know this. The Cowboys defense at times has been Super Bowl worthy this year. Will they be able to stop that? That offense remains to be seen, but they are just begging you, man. Go ahead, take them Cowboys 7.5. Go ahead, man. They want you to back up the truck and take the Cowboys. But this is a game that I look at and I go, I wouldn't touch it. I just would not touch it because I don't know which Cowboys team is going to show up. I have no idea. I mean, if it's the Ezekiel Elliott show, then the under has got a shot because they'll hold on to the ball. They'll keep Jared Goff on the sideline.
Right.
And, we'll be looking at somewhere like a 24-17 kind of game. But I just don't know with Dallas because of how inconsistent they have been. So I just don't know what we're going to get there. And a couple of weeks off with the Rams, it wasn't like they weren't exactly great towards the end of the year either. So it's one of these games where you gotta be careful there. To me, I think the game is going to be the Kansas City and Indianapolis game. I think if there's going to be an upset, that is the game that's going to provide the upset this weekend.
I am all over that with you, my friend.
Yeah.
You just said it. I think combining a lot of things we've already said. You just said the Rams weren't playing that great towards the end of the season. Well, don't look now. Neither was Kansas City. They were 3-3 in their last 6. Right, and 2 of those wins were to the Oakland Raiders. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I actually think Kareem Hunt is an important loss for this team. We don't have to get into all that. Damian Williams is cool and all and has a little spunk and has that speed, but he's not a 3-down back like Kareem Hunt was. And I told you before, one of the things I was fading last week to the tune of 3-0 was fading a first-time quarterback in the playoffs. Now, listen, you talk about my fantasy, teams, and Patty Mahomes won me a lot of money this year, okay? I love Patty Mahomes. I'm all over Patty Mahomes, okay? I drafted Patty Mahomes, but first-time quarterback in the playoffs, I've been fading that for a long time, and these Indianapolis Colts with Andrew Luck and Frank Reich, they look real good together. This offensive line, I think, is a huge benefit for the Indianapolis Colts. And the Colts defense, I think it's surprisingly better than people think. At least they have been for fantasy. I've been giving them out as a streaming defense. I agree with you. I think the Colts win this one outright. In Kansas City on Saturday.
Absolutely. I would take the points. I mean, 5.5 is a terrible number from a betting perspective anyway. And there's an old saying that what you do very well as a football team will propel you into the playoffs, and what you don't do very well will get your ass bounced out of the playoffs rather quickly. We saw it with Chicago, whose special teams all year long have been suspect. Special teams, again, ended up costing them a chance to be able to advance. And I just can't look at that defense of Kansas City and go, as good as their offense is, it's just not going to be able to deal with a guy like Andrew Luck. So I'm with you. I'm taking money line all week on Indianapolis. I think they run away with it, and the over might be a little interesting there, depending on the weather too. I do think they're expecting some snow there, depending on how deep and. There's a few things that I would wait until kickoff just to see, but I like the Colts' chances big time. I'm not even worried that they're a dome team. I like Andrew Luck in this situation. I like Frank Reich in this situation. I love Andy Reid, but we all know what Andy Reid's record is in the playoffs in this spot. He is Dane Martinez, Fantasy Sports Radio. I wanted to ask you, too, because I know in the picture we've got the Jets helmet on. You told us you're a Jets fan. You're in New York. What is the New York media what have they done about the Adam Gase hiring for the Jets there? Have they been receptive about it, or has it been just one pun after the other?
Yeah, I would say the latter, okay? And I was looking, we were talking, a little bit off air as well, because I know you're down there in Miami. I'm up here in New York. We both talk about Jets fans, and I wanted to get, the kind of the inside scoop from you, on him down there in Miami. And I think, I told you, I find him as an uninspiring retread. Like, yeah, maybe he's able to work with Sam Darnold, but I really, really hope so. And I don't know that I saw a proof point in any development with Ryan Tannehill myself. You know what I mean? And I would have liked to have gone the Mike McCarthy route instead, or even Rule if they wanted to get one of these up-and-coming offensive minds out of the college game like Arizona did with Cliff Kingsbury. But the jury is still out for me. I also heard rumblings about, he's not exactly a player's kind of coach, at least in that stint in Miami. And then when you take that act, and I use the word act, purposely, when you take that act to the big time here in New York, I don't know how it's going to play. So that causes me a little bit of concern in the bright lights in the city.
And you were telling me you have heard some rumblings regarding Greg Williams possibly being the defensive coordinator?
Yeah, absolutely. At least what I'm seeing some reports is, first in terms of two dominoes falling, because we were talking about this. First off, Vance Joseph looks like he's been hired in Arizona to be the DC over there for the Cardinals, along with Kingsbury. And then what I'm hearing here is that the Jets are definitely close to Greg Williams as a defensive coordinator. Yet another big kind of personality, shall we say, in the kind of brain trust for the Jets. So we'll see if it all works together. They'll sink or swim together. But yeah, that's what I'm hearing. Greg Williams could be the new DC here in New York.
And who's dominating the headlines right now? Is it Jets? Is it Giants this year? Who got more of the headlines? Because we know there's always been that thing between the Jets and the Giants. Jets always do things to try and get themselves the headlines. The Giants for years were always the organization that just tried to be a step above and stay out of the headlines. But who's winning the headline war there in New York recently?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because, I am an odd combination here in New York of a Yankees and a Jets fan. So like the big brother of baseball, but the little brother in football as a Jets. So I am sensitive to this. I would say in the football realm right now, it's definitely the Giants, okay, because Saquon Barkley, I think, is the biggest thing going. The stories with Sam Darnold and the Jets development and now the head coach, that's always there, but they are still the little brother. And this coming from a Jets fan, okay? It's all about Saquon Barkley and his emergence, the antics with Odell. Is Eli done? Are they going to go ahead and try to get a guy like Dwayne Haskins in the first round out of Ohio State? That's the drama is surrounding kind of how the blue chip franchise that is the New York Giants can kind of still be in the doldrums like that. And then I'd say Manny Machado and his potential to come on over here to the Yankees has got a lot of ink on the back pages recently as well.
Yeah, well, not before DJ LeMahieu, I think, just signed with the Yankees earlier today. So that kind of makes things a little bit interesting moving forward. But that's a whole nother conversation as we get ready for baseball coming up. And have they forgiven the Giants for taking Saquon Barkley at number 2? Have the fans forgiven them?
So that's been the essential question, right? This idea of no matter what Saquon was ever able to do, is the positional value the same as if they just got the quarterback, right? And I think that Saquon has, done everything he's supposed to do. So, yeah, the fans are all about Saquon. It's just about getting the rest of them help. Now, Odell is a little bit maybe of a different question.
Well, go ahead. I'm dying to hear here now. Are people done with the Odell Beckham?
It might be. Listen, I think it's coming to that, to be quite honest, because we talked about this before as it related to the Jets and why we don't need a guy like a Le'Veon Bell or an Antonio Brown, right? At this point, I think, Giants fans want this to be, more of a Saquon team. And he's going to be where the offense goes through. And so if you're going to have that, you can't also necessarily have a diva wide receiver who's going to kick kicking nets, or propose to kicking nets and demand, 12 targets a game and be a malcontent. Those just don't fit necessarily. And there is some buzz about, will Odell be here, by the time Giants training camp comes all the way back around. So they're a little bit, the nerves are frayed when it comes to Odell.
Yeah, well, a lot of that's the problem when you haven't been good for so long. There's a bit of an issue, especially with an aging quarterback. Now, is Eli in a Giants uniform next year?
I think he could be in a Giants uniform, but it could be one of these, scenarios where he's keeping his feet warm and the baton gets passed after the bye week or something like that. I do think he is in a Giants uniform. I think, down there in Florida where you guys are, I think Joe Flacco is going to wind up in Jacksonville. I think, the revolving door could be in a number of places down there by you. But I do think Eli is in a Giants uniform, but they pulled the trigger on getting his heir apparent in this offseason, I think, via the draft.
I know Giant fans hope that he'd be in a golf cart somewhere and nowhere near a football field. Dane Martinez, Fantasy Sports Radio, host of Fantasy Freestyle Tuesdays and Thursdays. Make sure you guys download the app, Fantasy Radio Network. It's awesome stuff, and especially if you're looking to cash out in daily fantasy, there is nobody better than Dane Martinez. And Dane, before we let you go, let's make the listeners and viewers here a little cash. Give me some sleepers here, man. Give me some guys that you got to have in some lineups here this weekend if you're going to cash home.
All right, I told you about I like Ted Ginn as a $4,500 guy on FanDuel. Listen, I like Damian Williams at 6,100. All right, over on FanDuel. I think he's interesting, and that's relatively cheap, Joe. That's real cheap. Okay, that's what I got to let you know. We're talking about in comparison to a guy like James White being 7,400. Okay, you get Damian Williams for $1,300 cheaper. Okay, and another guy that I'll give out even cheaper than that, Joe, is at only 5,400, maybe in a second running back spot or in a flex spot. I like Darren Sproles at only 5,400. He's leading this team in touches, and if we all think the magic for Foles dies this weekend, Sproles is going to be on the field as they're 2 touchdowns down. It won't be Josh Adams. It won't be Wendell Smallwood. It'll be Sproles that once again leads the Eagles in touches from the running back position, and the price can't be beat at 5,400.
I was going to say, what about throwing Nick Foles in a lineup there? I mean, do you think they'll at least be – because what a lot of people don't realize is that wide receiving core for Philadelphia is pretty damn good. I mean, they've got some guys there that can put up some yards, and they're going to have to throw the ball. They're not going to be able to run it. So I don't know what the price is of Nick Foles, but that he sounds like a guy that might have some value there and allow you to spend someplace else.
You're absolutely right, Joe. I mean, garbage time points are just as good as all other points in fantasy sports, and if that's the game flow that we see. And you're right, Alshon Jeffrey has been good. It has been the apple of Nick Foles' eye. You got Zach Ertz, who broke an NFL record this year. And Golden Tate even kind of had his first good game with the Eagles, kind of emerging. And now he goes into a game in the Dome where he could be used. So I like the way you're thinking right there, Joe. See, you're a DFS expert yourself.
Love it, man. When it comes to money, I know how to lose it. Dane Martinez, Fantasy Sports Radio. Make sure you guys are tailing him as well. It's at Spittin' Speeds there. It's on the screen, SPEEDZ. He is host of Fantasy Freestyle. Make sure you guys download the app, Fantasy Sports Radio Network. Dane, brother, I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us here, throwing a little education down for the DFS community. We appreciate your time. Good luck this weekend, man, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Hey, sounds good. Have a great weekend, Joe.
You too. All right, Dane Martinez, Fantasy Sports Radio Network. Make sure that you guys download that app. Get it there. Just some great shows there. Fantastic guys when it comes to daily fantasy, when it comes to sports talk. It is worldwide, and it is fantastic. And we want to appreciate Dane stopping by and dropping a little DFS knowledge, a little New York medium knowledge on us. We certainly do appreciate it. Also want to let you guys know, if you haven't done so already, get your account at uwager.eu opened up tonight. Get ready for what is going to be an unbelievable weekend. UWager, that's 1-800-UWager. Use the code JRS50, guys. JRS50. All you got to do is call them up, customer service. They answer. You say, I want an account. Here's my code. Boom. You got 50% of your initial deposit as a bonus. How do you like that? And then you go line shopping this weekend. So it doesn't make a difference. I don't care where you are. 5 Dimes, Bovada. It doesn't make a difference where your account is right now. You need to have options. You need to be able to shop the lines. And UWager, some of the best lines, some of the best pricing, the best customer service, and hassle-free transactions at UWager. So make it part of your repertoire. 800-UWager. That's 1-800-UWager. and you give them the code JRS50. All right, we got a couple of breaking stories here that we want to get you caught up with. First and foremost, it looks like Hugh Jackson is unemployed again. Hugh Jackson has been fired by the Cincinnati Bengals. He was the team specialist. I don't even know what that is. He's the assistant to the assistant special assistant or some crap, but he is out. Cincinnati has fired him. No shock there since Marvin Lewis is no longer a part of the organization. Also, Miami Dolphins, just about an hour ago here in South Florida, the rumor was that the Dolphins weren't any closer to making a decision on their head coach, and that they were going to wait to interview a few guys. They were doing the assistants today. Coach Rizzi, the longtime assistant coach, was supposed to be interviewed tomorrow, I think. It looks like rumors are now, or it's being reported, that Miami has narrowed its focus to the New England Patriots defensive coordinator Brian Flores. Brian Flores, according to Ian Rappaport and a whole bunch of other people right now here in Miami, including our friends at 5 Reasons Sports and the 3 yards per carry podcast. They are talking Brian Flores right now as the new head coach for the Miami Dolphins. Now, what makes this interesting, okay? And Adam Beasley, too, by the way, has also Adam Beasley, the Miami Herald. He's also been on Brian Flores from the beginning. He's been screaming that this could very well be the next head coach of the Miami Dolphins. They are going to go defense. So I think we pretty much all know that. And Brian Flores, defensive coordinator, New England Patriots, they feel is going to be announced sooner rather than later. Here's the connection. Brian Flores, if he does become the Dolphins head coach, all indications are Jim Caldwell would then become the offensive coordinator here in Miami. All right, the relationship between Caldwell and Flores, we know that. Caldwell also, previous offensive coordinator and QB's coach, where? In Baltimore. Who was his quarterback? Joe Flacco. So if Flacco does, and I believe he is set to get right, he's set to be released from the Baltimore Ravens. If the dominoes start falling and Flores gets the job and then Caldwell gets announced, you may be looking at Joe Flacco in the very near future as the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. So also Dallas Cowboys assistant Chris Richard, they say, is possibly still in the running. He is the guy that is under Marinelli in Dallas doing a lot of the play calling there, and they love him. The word on him, don't forget, Chris Richards was originally with Seattle. He was part of the whole Dan Quinn team there in Seattle, Super Bowl winning coach there. He ended up coming to Dallas. He's been there now for a little while, and you can't say enough great things about what the Dallas defense has done and what Chris Richards has done. And they say still a possibility, but Brian Flores right now looks, according to all reports, Armando Salguero, Miami Herald, Adam Beasley, our friends at the 3 yards per carry podcast, 5 Reasons Network, everyone in Miami is pointing right now to Brian Flores as the new head coach, or it will be announced shortly, new head coach of the Miami Dolphins, which means the Ryan Tannehill era is over, which means get ready. That's right. Get ready for a little Joe Flacco here in South Florida. Oh, help us. I can't. Please help us all. All right. I did want to play this for you because to recap this week, and you guys know, those of you that are familiar with the show, we bring in different sports handicappers from around the country each and every day of the week to try and, give us their insight, give us their knowledge in order to be able to help all of us become smarter sports investors. And Tony George from Doc Sports shows up on Wednesday here on the show. And Tony had a very good point that I thought was worth hearing again that I wanted to play for you guys. Tony was talking about how the public perception of a lot of these teams and a lot of these games, that if you are not a dime player, if you're not $1,000 a game player or $5,000, if you're not there, if you're just the average Joe bettor, $5, $20, $30, whatever it is, what happens with bettors in that category, not the professional, but somebody that does it as, recreationally, you get sucked up by recency bias and you get sucked up by public favorites. And there are a lot of public favorites this weekend. And he had a good point about what you need to be weary of when the public is all over certain teams. And this is what Tony George had to say this week.
At the end of the day, this weekend, you've got a lot of sexy teams out there that the public's going to love. Kansas City, sexy. I will tell you, 5.5 is a shitty number in the NFL. Anybody want to get in that front of that freight train that's the Colts right now, the way they're playing? Especially with a bad defense. But all the hype is Patrick Mahomes. They're not missing a beat without Kareem Hunt. Arrowhead, they're unbeatable. Well, Andy Reid's one of the worst postseason coaches in the history of modern football. Bob Sutton is one of the worst defensive coordinators operating with a job and a salary today in the NFL. And yes, Kansas City lacks some talent. Dallas getting 7, America's team. They're begging you to take Dallas. They're begging you. Come on. Give me some of that cowboy money. They're out here standing. They'll form a separate line like you're walking through a roller coaster line at Disney World. You got to go back and forth in the maze to get money down on Dallas. You're just going, come on. Keep bringing it in. Chargers, New England, same thing. New England, Brady 7-0 against Rivers. Rivers can't get over the hump. If you haven't seen some chinks in the armor this year with New England, then you're not watching the same games I'm watching. Number one is you don't have one single downfield threat. Phillip Rivers has got a hell of a secondary and a hell of a defense behind him, and they made Baltimore's offense. Baltimore was running all over everybody. The last 6 games, they shut them down and made them look like a JUCO team last week. On the road. I know it's back-to-back. I know it's going to be cold. Bear in mind, you're over the fall number of 3, and the Chargers haven't lost on the road all year.
Great insight from our friend Tony George. Doc Sports joins us Wednesday here on the Joe Raineri Show. And be careful. That's all I'm saying, Joe Public. Be very, very careful with those sexy picks. You just never know what's going to happen. And, in fact, he mentioned about Andy Reid just being awful. One of the trends, and, of course, we had Ralph Michaels, WagerTalk.com, on yesterday. And all of these interviews all week, guys, are available here, not only on our Twitter page, but also our YouTube page at Joe Raineri Show. We certainly encourage you guys to subscribe there. All these interviews are available, and they are just a great source of information for you throughout the week, trying to pick the brains of some of the best sports handicappers from around the country, listening to what they've got to say and their approach. You can only get better. You can only get smarter, which means you'll become more profitable by listening to these guys. And, Andy Reid, not great, but you know what else is not great? Playing at Arrowhead in this situation. In fact, the under right now at 57 points seems to be a very popular bet with a lot of the sharps. Why? Because with Coach Andy Reid, no home team has been more profitable for under bettors than the Kansas City Chiefs. They are 32-17 at 1 to the under since 2013, including the playoffs at Arrowhead Stadium. So keep that in mind. And a lot of that has to do because we know Kansas City's got a shit defense, but in the past, Kansas City's defense at home versus the road has been ridiculous. I mean, almost at some point it was 10, almost 12-point difference between the road and at home. So the Kansas City defense historically over the last few years hasn't traveled well, but they've been very good at Arrowhead. But the under at Arrowhead, under 57, Nobody has been more profitable for under bettors than the Chiefs and Andy Reid, 32-17 at 1 to the under since 2013. So keep that in mind. Also, want to let you know, Sonny Stewart joining us. Hi, Sonny, joining us in the YouTube chat room there. One of the other things I wanted to let you guys know that just came across, right now, the New England Patriots are getting about 41% of the spread bets right now. The Chargers, another one of these very sexy picks, right? Everybody's rooting for Phillip Rivers, the underdog. You heard Tony just there. Listen, it's a sexy pick, getting 4.5 and 4 in some books. With New England only getting 41% of the bets right now, here's what you need to know. Since 2003, which has been forever because Tom Brady has been there forever, games in which Tom Brady has started for the Patriots, he is 24, 14, and 2. That is 63% ATS when he is getting less than 50% of the bets, which is exactly what he finds himself in right now. With only getting 41% of the bets, Tom Brady finds himself in this position. And since 2003, he is 63%, the New England Patriots, 63% ATS when they are getting less than 50% of the bets, which is where they find themselves right now. So keep that in mind. Couple of things there. Just wanted to throw your way so you have an understanding of what's happening. Also want to remind you guys, if you missed any of these interviews, like I said, they are here on Twitter, Periscope, Twitch, Facebook, also at Joe Raineri Show on Facebook, at Joe Raineri Show on YouTube. You guys got us here on Twitter and Periscope. You know where to find us, at Joe Raineri. But I encourage you guys, I'll always do the in case you missed it videos throughout the timeline that you'll see. We'll go ahead and replay these videos, and certainly some of the thoughts, some of the trends and some of the angles and some of the great information. We go ahead and pull those out of the interviews from guys like Joe D'Amico and Tony George and Ralph Michaels and the Sports Keg, and we isolate those for you throughout the day. So there's some information there that you need to know in order to become a smarter sports investor. So you can always count on us to be able to provide that for you. And we want to thank, of course, all of the handicappers who take their time to join us tomorrow. Want to keep in mind that we've got our good friend. You want to talk about a guy in the football season that has been absolutely on fire with this show. 18 and 4 over the last month on Saturdays. The Sports Keg, the Sports Keg CEO, will join us tomorrow, 2 o'clock, getting you ready for the NFL games, the slate tomorrow. You're going to want to hear what he's got to say, because when it comes to being right and breaking it down and calling games and analyzing them, it's like he knows the outcome ahead of time. Don't ask me how he does it, but the Sports Keg CEO is the real deal. 18 and 4, giving you guys picks on this show on Saturday in the NFL and college. Nobody has been better. The guy is fantastic. He'll join us tomorrow at 2 o'clock. So make sure that you guys hit the notification up in the corner so you know how to get notified when we do go live. And if you're not able to join us live, make sure that you guys come back to the page throughout the day and check out the information provided. But the Sports Keg live tomorrow, taking your calls here on the Joe Raineri Show. And I do want to thank, of course, our man Joe D'Amico, crashing the boards tonight and this weekend. There's the number, 800-563-8854. He's got a free winner for you tonight right now. And any of the available packages, there's the number, 855-563-8854. All you got to do is pick up the phone and you'll win. I mean, he pretty much guarantees it. Something for everybody with Joe D'Amico, and I'm glad he's feeling better, and I'm glad that he was able to join us today. And if you guys didn't get a chance to see his interview, once again, that'll be rebroadcast here a little bit later. Make sure you check out who Joe likes this weekend in the NFL. So congratulations to Joe for getting back. Also, congratulations to Joe D'Amico for killing it this college football and NFL season. As we get ready for a little NBA and March Madness, there is nobody better than our friend Joe D'Amico. So I want to thank you guys for being here today, stopping by, hanging out on behalf of iTicketHub.com, Miami Acura, Good Greek Moving and Storage, our friends at TrendyBets.com, UWager, AASI Wins, and of course UWager.eu, which is where you guys should be opening up an account tonight. We want to thank you very much for making us a part of the day. Don't forget, like the videos, guys, subscribe, follow, retweet, do all that good stuff for us. us your support. It really does mean the world to us. And I also want to send a shout out to Dane Martinez from the Fantasy Sports Radio Network, dropping by, giving us a little DFS knowledge, going to make us some money this weekend. Hats off to him. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us. But you guys have a great Friday night. You got NBA, you got college hoops, NHL. You got a lot of ways to be profitable tonight, and we got a lot of ways to be profitable tomorrow and Sunday, and I hope that you'll come back and you'll listen to each and every one of the interviews, Ralph Michaels, Tony George, the Keg tomorrow, Joe D'Amico, just guys dropping the knowledge for you, breaking down these games, everything just a couple of clicks away for you. So hope you'll follow us, hope you'll come back and join us tomorrow, 2 o'clock, as the Sports Keg, the Sports Keg CEO. He joins us here on the Joe Raineri Show. You guys have a great night. Thank you very much for making us a part of your day. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Good luck tonight, guys.